Angie, and you're watching Dante's Vaccination.
I'll tell you one thing about Ryan Garcia.
I feel like Eddie's kind of scared of me. Like he knows I'm with Eddie Reynoso's team, so he's
exactly.
he's scared.
I'm not scared of you, but you're very good. One thing I'll say, right?
Yes.
Okay. I do think he should fight Devin Haney.
Everyone has just said to me he's not really interested in the Haney fight.
Yeah, I don't. Listen,
He doesn't excite me. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, but it's a massive fight.
But be honest right now. Has he fought anybody you say, damn, that's a good fight?
I agree, and I had the argument with Bill the other day. But let me tell you something. Devin wants to fight. Devin wants to fight everybody,
That's great.
right?
I want to fight everybody,
Yeah,
but he didn't. That's the fact.
Yeah,
he
but
never did.
Yeah, and we do need a big fight, right? You haven't really had a big fight. You boxed Luke Campbell. It was a great win, right?
Thank you.
But I just feel that you and Devin is a super fight. It sells out the Staples Center. You make a fortune. But as I've said in every interview, if you get Tank or you get Pacquiao,
There it is.
I can't argue. If you don't, I think you should consider Devin Haney, personally, because I think it's a massive fight for massive money. And if you believe you can win,
Oh, I know.
yeah, but then you should take the fight. If you don't get those other fights. But I respect you
but
for
if
chasing.
I do get it,
Oh, I respect you. And
Okay.
I say 100%
Okay.
that was the right move for you.
There
But
it
if you don't, I would like you to consider Devin Haney.
okay, I will.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So that right there you were just listening to, that was an exchange that Ryan Garcia had with Eddie Hearn when he was doing an interview on the Boxing Social. You guys can watch that whole interview on their channel because it was a long interview. You heard Eddie Hearn stepping his game up and putting an enormous amount of pressure on Ryan Garcia to take the Devin Haney fight. For those of you guys who don't know, Ryan Garcia is Devin Haney's mandatory. First of all, before I get deeper into that story, I want to really give Eddie Hearn a lot of credit because this is the first time I have ever seen him really go to bat for one of his fighters, especially on a coincidental list, fighters in the States. Now, he does this for his UK fighters all the time, but this is the first time I've seen him do it for fighters on the coincidental list in the States. If Eddie Hearn continues to do this, this is going to put a new level of pressure on fighters to step up and take the fights because Eddie Hearn saying it means a lot. And what he was saying was extremely logical. You heard how Ryan Garcia kept trying to say, but I'm trying to fight Tank Davis. I'm trying to fight Manny Pacquiao. And I totally agree with Eddie Hearn when he said, look, if you can get those fights, I got nothing to say. But I'm telling you, if you don't fight them, you should be fighting Devin Haney. And it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, guys, you know the state of boxing is in really bad shape right now when you have champions that are chasing mandatories. And then you have the mandatory, Ryan Garcia, who's saying, you know, that fight doesn't excite me. He needs to do more, etc., etc., etc. And Garcia, just like Teofimo Lopez, he fails to understand a microphone and a camera is the most dangerous weapon in the world because he has already went on camera saying not once, but multiple times, he has already admitted that Devin Haney would be his toughest fight. He said this on multiple interviews, right? He said that Devin Haney would be his toughest fight. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and play a couple clips for you guys.
Toughest challenge would be, I think, against Devin Haney.
I got Devin Haney.
Yeah. So you've got history with Devin. Like, is that a close fight? Is it?
I got Devin Haney.
Yeah.
Not by a lot, but I got Devin Haney. I think Devin Haney. I mean, you see with Nakatani, Lopez had a little bit of trouble with that right hand over the top. I think Devin's even a little bit more craftier, obviously more craftier than Nakatani. Nakatani's a game for. I'm a fan of Nakatani, and he's in my weight class. Let's just say something. So,
yeah, he's underrated.
He's very underrated. I think Devin beats Teofimo. I think Teofimo has a great fight with Tank, but I still feel Tank beats him. I feel Devin beats Tank, and I beat Tank. I beat everybody.
All the top lightweights, he makes the less money. You have the most followers, the most everything, but you make the less money. How does that make sense? How are you the money guy? He doesn't have a belt and he makes the less money.
So once again, in those clips, you heard Ryan Garcia admit that he feels that Devin Haney is the toughest opponent. He feels he's the toughest fight when it comes to the Final Four. And in another interview, he said the same thing, but in that interview, he said, that's why I want Devin to be my last fight. So this is what I mean when I say Ryan, he must have forgot that he already told the truth and explained why he doesn't want to fight Devin right now. I feel, and this is really so crazy because before I was giving Ryan more credit than Tio. I would always compare the two and I would say, see, the difference from Ryan and Tio, at least Ryan is being honest and he's telling the fans that the reason why I'm not fighting Devin right now is because he's going to be my toughest fight. He's going to be the most difficult challenge. Fans will respect you more when you are being honest. And that's why I gave him the credit for being honest. But now he's switching it up and he wants to start talking like Teofimo. That just makes you look worse when you do that. It also forces you to contradict yourself because we already heard you tell the fans why you truly really don't want to fight Devin Haney right now. So if you have that much respect for Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia doesn't even realize it, but he just made Devin Haney's status as a champion way more legit. He just basically said that Devin Haney is a real champion and he's the man to beat. The real funny thing about this is Ryan Garcia's idol, his mentor, who he looks up to, Canelo Alvarez, and he trains with. I say it's ironic because Canelo Alvarez has made a career going after the weakest champions at the time. When Canelo Alvarez was fighting at 154 and all of the champions were beasts. I'm talking about when both of the Charlo brothers were champions and then Demetrius Andrade was a champion. You had Canelo Alvarez, who was not a champion. And all of these champions were calling out Canelo Alvarez. Canelo didn't fight any of those guys. But soon as Demetrius Andrade got stripped of his WBO title, they gave that belt to who? To Liam Smith. All of a sudden, Canelo fights him. Now, once again, listen to the argument that Ryan Garcia is making about Devin. He hasn't fought anybody. It doesn't excite me. That fight doesn't excite me. He hasn't fought anyone. He needs to fight someone. He needs to prove himself. So here it is, Ryan Garcia's mentor, his idol, he's fighting a champion that hasn't fought anyone. He's fighting a champion that does not excite anyone in the boxing world, but yet he still fought for the title. Why is that? He fought for the title because that was a great way for him to win a belt with almost zero risk that you're taking to get the belt. Canelo did the exact same thing when he fought for Rocky Fielding's belt. So Ryan Garcia, he just dissed Canelo and he doesn't even realize it. And Canelo Alvarez is not the only fighter that does this. He just does it more consistent than other fighters. You guys know my intro with Keith Thurman. When Keith Thurman says, "Don't duck me, son," do you guys know who he was talking to? He was talking to Paulie Malignaggi. Because believe it or not, at the time, Paulie Malignaggi was a title holder. And you see how hard Keith Thurman was going after him. Why? He wasn't going after him because he had beat so many great fighters. Keith Thurman went after him because he had a belt. And he wanted to take the belt and he knew that that was a guaranteed win for him. And at the time, this was when Paulie Malignaggi, you still got credit for beating him. I mean, Paulie wasn't no Floyd Mayweather, but he wasn't no Avni Yildirim either, okay? Keith Thurman went after him because he had a belt. So my point is, what Ryan Garcia is saying right now, it makes zero sense. You're gonna sit here and say, what has he done? He doesn't deserve a fight. He needs to fight this guy first, etc., and you're not even a champion. You're saying why you won't fight a champion who you feel has done nothing, but at the same time, you accidentally, or maybe I shouldn't say accidentally, let's just say, but then you forget that you already told the public that Devin Haney is the toughest fight for you. Soon as you say that, people already know why you don't want to fight him. They will always remember that. There is no expiration date when it comes to things that you say on camera, okay? And this is the reason why I have so much respect for David Benavidez and his father, Jose Sr., because just like Ryan said about Devin, they said the same thing about Jamal Charlo. Jose Sr., he said that this is going to be our hardest fight. He said the Canelo fight would be easier. He said the Charlo fight would be our most difficult fight. He said he's a hard puncher, I like his style, etc., etc., etc. But guess who's pushing for the fight harder? It's David Benavidez who's pushing for the fight harder than Jamal Charlo. So what that tells you is Benavidez, he knows the risk, but he wants to challenge himself. He wants to challenge himself. And that's the reason why I'm pushing for that fight, because we need that fight. See, when you're a real boxing fan, it's not about you trying to protect your fighter so you really don't want to watch the fight. I don't care if there's a guarantee that Jamal Charlo is going to lose or David Benavidez is going to lose. I need to see the fight because at the end of the day, we need to see who the best is. Because it doesn't matter if people are just talking, saying, oh, you know, Charlo will whoop his ass, Benavidez will whoop his ass. None of that matters if the fight is not going to come to fruition. So Ryan Garcia, going back to Ryan, he needs to take notes from David Benavidez. He needs to take notes. He needs to understand, and all of these fighters need to understand, don't worry about losing. You're young. You can come back. These fighters have to realize Manny Pacquiao was knocked out twice before he became a superstar in the sport of boxing. Okay? You have a lot of fighters that have lost. Terry Norris, he was knocked out early in his career, came back, became pound for pound the best fighter in the world. People have to challenge themselves. You have to take risks to be great. Ryan Garcia's situation is a little bit different than Tio's, because when it comes to Tio, he completely, and I mean completely, avoided the Devin Haney fight. When it comes to Ryan Garcia, his situation is a little bit more complex because he kind of threw us off by saying that he was going to fight Tank Davis. He had people like myself believing him. A lot of people started to believe him. He really wanted the Tank Davis fight. In fact, he's still saying that's the only fight he wants. That's the only fight he wants, right? So he said this, went on the Mike Tyson show and really made himself look bad by telling Mike Tyson that the fight is written in stone. We're going to fight, just to announce like a couple days after that video was uploaded that he has a fight bigger than the Tank Davis fight that he's working on. Now we find out that's not going to happen according to Golden Boy. And here Ryan Garcia is still telling people that he's going to fight, or he wants to fight, either Tank Davis or Manny Pacquiao next. At the same time, he said in a recent interview, while he kept saying those are the fights that he wants, he also said that it's pretty much going to be up to Golden Boy. He was pretty much telling fans, I'm just letting you know though, this is what I want. I can't control what they're going to do, but this is what I want. So you guys have heard it from me. So I'm going to tell Ryan Garcia just like Eddie told him. If you're not going to fight Manny Pacquiao or Tank Davis, it would make absolutely no sense in the world for you to avoid the champion that you're mandated to fight. Or maybe I should say the champion that you're the mandatory to fight. It would make absolutely no sense. Ryan Garcia once again may forget that he's already went on camera when he first announced the Manny Pacquiao fight. He told fans the only reason I wouldn't be fighting Tank Davis is if there was a bigger fight that was available. So now Ryan Garcia is in a situation where he needs to keep his word. Why would you take any fight other than the Devin Haney fight when you can actually win a title? You're going to fight someone who's not a champion? You're going to fight someone who's not a big fight? Just like Eddie Hearn said, the Devin Haney fight, that's damn near a super fight. Two young, undefeated fighters. They both have history. They're both well known. These are the type of fights that boxing fans crave for. And Ryan Garcia, man, he really needs to stop talking, just like I said about Tio. I mean, Ryan is starting to make himself look worse than Tio right now. You sitting over here saying who has he fought, and that fight doesn't excite me. He's talking like he's the A side. Who has the champion fought? Another reason why it makes no sense is because Devin Haney makes 3 times more money than Ryan Garcia makes. So people always use the money excuse. You will always hear fans trying to defend some guy. They will always say what? Hey man, it's a business, guys. It's a business. It's about the money, etc., etc. But if you guys have been paying attention to what's been happening recently, fighters like Teofimo and Ryan Garcia, they have been willing to make less money than make more money fighting against a dangerous fighter. Teofimo Lopez, he's going to make somewhere around $3 million, maybe a little bit less than that when he fights against Kambosos. And the way the math works is Triller, they won the purse bid for $6 million. There's a 65-35 split. And on top of that, Bob Arum, he gets 20%, which actually is a higher percentage because he's not promoting the fight. So he gets 20% of that split, which leaves Teofimo with around $3 million. I tell you guys all of that just to say he could have made $4 to $5 million fighting Devin Haney because that's what was presented to him. Think about it for a second. If the Haneys and DAZN, if they start off negotiations, it's like starting off the bid. If they starting off negotiations at $4 million, Teo could have pushed for $5 million, and who knows, maybe at the least he would have got $4.5 million fighting against Devin Haney in a unification bout, which would have been a much bigger fight. And if it was on pay-per-view, he would have made even more than $4 million, right? So Teo, he took less money for a lower risk fight, right? Ryan Garcia, if he doesn't fight Tank Davis or Manny Pacquiao, and he decides not to fight for a title against Devin Haney, he's gonna take less money, way less money. Right now, there's a lot of pressure on Oscar Valdez to fight Shakur Stevenson next. Do you guys know there's a very, very good chance, instead of Oscar Valdez making the highest payday of his career fighting against Shakur Stevenson, he's most likely gonna fight someone and make a fraction of the money just to avoid the risk of losing to Shakur Stevenson. And then you have Canelo Alvarez. When Canelo Alvarez was fighting Rocky Fielding, when he was fighting Liam Smith back at 154, do you guys know he would have made way more money if he would have fought Jamal Charlo, Demetrius Andrade for a title shot? I'm talking about 154 right now. So see, this proves all of these fighters I just mentioned, it was all about MBF for them. They didn't care about making more money. And this is another thing that makes no sense. Once again, it just shows you, how bad the state of boxing is right now. When Teofimo announced, or at least when it was reported, that Teofimo, he's gonna make a lot more money than he would have made if he let his own promoter Bob promote the fight, because he was only offering Teo 1.25 million. When it was reported that he's gonna make around 3 million or whatever it is, you have fans celebrating because Teo was going to make a lot of money in a fight that no one really cares about. And I'm not taking the dig at Kambosos, that's not his fault. But it's just the fact that the fans wanted to see Teo up against someone in the Fab Four. So you have fans celebrating that Teofimo is going to make a lot of money while at the same time not fighting anyone in the Fab Four. How does that make sense, guys? That's like me reporting to you guys that Jamal Charlo, he's going to fight Avni Yildirim next, and he's going to make $10 million for that fight. And I'm over here all happy and excited. Yeah, man, you guys see that? Jamal is going to make $10 million. That's what I'm talking about, fighting against Avni Yildirim. Why would I be happy about that when I don't want to see Charlo versus Yildirim? I want to see Charlo versus Benavidez. And then after that, I want to see the winner against Canelo. You ain't going to hear me getting excited. Why am I going to be excited about $10 million that Jamal Charlo is making? I'm not getting any of that money. The only thing these fighters can do for us as fans is give us the fights that we want to see. You know, none of these fighters are inviting you to no damn barbecues, right? They ain't putting no presents under your Christmas tree. So what are you doing celebrating just how much a person is getting paid? Once again, man, these are not real fans. These are not boxing fans. These are race fans. So, man, if Ryan Garcia doesn't get the Tank Davis fight, if he doesn't get the Manny Pacquiao fight, which we know he's not getting that one for sure, boy, oh boy, Ryan gonna be out in these streets looking horrible if he completely contradicts himself. Fights someone other than Devin Haney for way less money, for no title shot, and no credit. I really can't wait to see who Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis announces for their next fight. I keep telling you guys that 2021 is the worst year of boxing. Now we're hearing Tyson Fury say there's a very good chance he ain't gonna fight Anthony Joshua because, you know, he wants a tune-up fight. You know, coming off of a year or a year plus layoff, he says he doesn't want to go in there with AJ with that type of layoff. So that was like the only fight that was left that we almost had for sure, at least I thought. Now we don't have any big fights that are at least guaranteed. Tank Davis, he just said that he has a fight. He's going to be fighting against a champ. He used the word spectacular in this post. Hopefully it's a spectacular opponent, and it's a fight that is as big as a Ryan Garcia fight would have been. Let's see what happens, guys. That's all I got for now, and I'm on to the next one. Listen, I'm telling you guys right now, in the world that we live in today, one of the most important things in life to have is a good lawyer. And I can vouch for this one right here, because this brother is my personal lawyer. So if you need any type of legal representation, if you need legal advice, if you're having problems on YouTube, on your regular job, or whatever it is, contact lawyer, mediator, and business consultant Issa Israel's law firm. I've been knowing this man for a while, and he has been a true blessing to me. I'm telling you, he's affordable, he will work with you, but most importantly, he's not gonna just treat you like a customer. He will have your best interest. So to get in contact with him, go to iilawfirm.com or consultsglobal.com. Now check this out. If you've lost your hair or you have a receding hairline, the time has come where you can finally get your hairline back with a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that actually replicates your hair follicles. So if you want this hookup, contact my man Scalp Carolinas at 704-499-3471. This man, he does all of his own procedures. He serves people from all over the world. And he's rated with a 5.0 when it comes to reviews on Google. So don't wait, contact my man as soon as possible to get this hookup. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Deki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodeki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.